Well, winter has many associations. You might think Frosty the Snowman, the holidays, but here in Florida, we think the Rolex 24 at Daytona. That's right, every year toward the end of January, we kick it off with a great race that precedes the Daytona 500, the unofficial start to the, or I guess you could say the official start to the big NASCAR season. But this is a big deal, and this weekend we couldn't have ordered finer weather, as if we had control over it. It just so happens to be, the luck would have it, that the temperatures will be perfect. Perfect for fans, perfect for drivers, perfect for crews. 76 on Saturday, 77 on Sunday, and we're not taking it for granted because, while our version of winter is associated with racing and great track days, the version of winter just one state up is associated with ice storms and snowstorms, and it's all happening the same weekend, this weekend. And it's all thanks to this big amplified jet stream with a wild pattern, Arctic air surging southward. And what that is going to do is force an interaction with jet stream energy and a lot of moisture working northward out of the Gulf, setting the stage for what could be the worst snowstorm of the season and the worst ice storm in a generation. Now, there's a lot of big terms being used to describe this setup, like catastrophic, historic, once in a lifetime. But there is truly potential in a narrow strip of the South from roughly Dallas to Atlanta along the I-20 corridor, where there may be enough freezing rain to bring down power lines, accumulating to more than 1 or in some cases up to 2 inches on surfaces. That can bring down trees and make roads impassable, not just because it's hard to drive on ice. In fact, in many cases it's impossible, but because trees will be blocking the roads. So this is how the setup works out. We're going to see an icing event developing Saturday, first in Texas, then working through Arkansas, and then eventually on Sunday into the Nashville area, Memphis, eastern Tennessee, on into North Carolina, Georgia, maybe northern Alabama, and into Virginia. And in these areas, spanning about 2,000 miles wide, there's about 175 million people and 30 states impacted by this thing. This is going to be a huge winter storm. Just north of the icing area, there's going to be a strip between roughly I-20 and I-70 that could see upwards of a foot of snow in areas that typically don't see more than several inches in a big storm in the wintertime. So this is a big system, and because it's so amplified, because it's so massive, that's why we're going to have such a strong push from the south. That's why our weather is going to be so delightful. In fact, we're going to see 80s, while places like Atlanta could see scenes like this. This is what 1 inch of ice looked like back in a historic ice storm in Kansas in 2017. Look at that, it took out a whole tree. Oftentimes trees like this fall on power lines, they fall across roads, and they can make it really tough to go anywhere for days on end. And in fact, power can be knocked out for more than a week, especially when you get the higher end freezing rain totals. This is what 2 inches of icing looks like. This is from a historic storm in 1998 in upstate New York, where you can see the trees are down on cars. The roads were blocked for days, if not weeks in some communities. And in parts of the Northeast, including Quebec and in the Canadian province there north of New York and Vermont, power was out for up to 3 months in spots, as entire transmission towers were taken down by upwards of 3 inches of ice. Now, the forecast is likely not to feature more than about 1 inch of freezing rain falling and accumulating in the southeast, but some of our most reliable computer models in the world are suggesting we may see totals in excess of 2 inches in a couple of communities. So this is a big dog weather system, and we're going to be watching it here from the poolside. All right, that's the latest from the analysis desk. Back to you.